Here. You're most welcomed to eluukkanen composer, how to become a composer from zero to hero. Welcome to the stream, my friends. Today is an episode 2 of how to become a composer from zero to hero, and as you can see, we have 1% here already. Because this is the second episode of the whole series, indeed. In this series, we're going to be going through how to start from simply nothing and becoming a full-time composer. Indeed. Good morning, Serge, and welcome. Good to see you. Indeed, in this stream, we're going to be actually looking at the facts of what are the great optional ways to really begin this journey. And I mean by ways, imagine like a road. There are many roads to Rome, as they say. And it's same with composing. You can choose this road, and this road. And, it can lead to same position, but with a different sort of techniques. I got good feedback from the last composer episode. And it talked about, hey, can you share some of the step-by-step ways of, how to really start this thing? Because obviously, when you're starting from zero, you don't perhaps know all of the ways to do it. You are still in the beginning. The beginning is always the hardest part, because when you have kind of limited knowledge on all of the things, it's really hard to start. But I'm hoping with this series, once we progress from 1% to 2%, and all the way to 100%, you are going to have the knowledge what it takes to be a composer at the end. So yes, I recommend there's a playlist down there afterwards for people to watch of all of the episodes. I recommend to check that out after the stream if you want to see the progression from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 2, 5, and all of these. So that is going to be the topic of today. Should you learn how to play an instrument? What should you do when releasing your music out there? And what are the best optimal ways to really get the composing journey you want to really do? And we're going to be looking at it realistically. Instead of just selling some dreams, we're going to be realistic with this whole thing. Indeed, Serge. Time to grab some notebook. We are going to be looking at all the information, so stay tuned. Eluukkanen is ready to show you how to become a composer to the episode number 2. So indeed, welcome to the episode. I have to tell you, first, before we start, some background information. I'm a composer. I do this kind of full-time sort of fashion. Yes, indeed. I release my music in here, in many places, like iTunes, Spotify, and all of these places. That's what I do it. And why? Well, the thing is like this. From my young age, I wanted to become a composer. I've learned this sort of study from others. They got inspired by games. They got inspired by many other things. Here in eluukkanen channel, we have had composer interviews and such on these sort of topics. Serge, you have watched some of the plays. You are one of the people that has been here in the past, so you know this sort of stuff. But I tell you, one of the things we are going to be looking at here today is that, imagine you're being in a very beginning of this road. You want to become a composer, and last time we talked about the realistic aspects of this. What should you learn? What should you have the kind of the beginning assets to begin? Because of course it will cost some money to start this whole thing and such. I like the new intro there. I'm happy that you enjoy. Thing is, there are many really steps that you can have that are optional. I know many composers in my close circle that actually do not know anything about music theory. They don't know anything about notation. They know hardly anything that a classical composer would find useful. Yet they can make music. They can make trailer music. They can make film sort of type of music. They can do all of that. And you know why? Because there's so many different tools and assets you can have for yourself, which in case you learn, you are able to get what you want. Some of the people here, they want to do certain stuff. They want to actually just learn the music side of things. They want to do this. They want to do that. There's many ways ways to do it. And we're going to be looking at the details. I started everything from learning piano. Because piano is one of the easiest ways really to get this whole thing going. And we're going to be talking about that here today. Serge, do you know any composers in your close circles? Possibly, possibly not. Here at eluukkanen, what should I learn? Is very much the topic of today's stream. We're actually going to be going very much soon on that path. But before that, I want to share to people that are here watching. I distribute my music to many different places. I distribute to Spotify, iTunes, and all of these places all the time. And do you know why? Because, of course, when you have music to be made, especially later on in this series, we're going to be showing you when you have done your music, how to distribute it. I personally believe Road Note is the best way to do it. I use it myself all the time when releasing my music. Like, I've been using it for many years. It's one of the best service to really do that. And why? Well, the thing is, it distributes your music for free as a beginner. This is a huge advantage over all of the other services that do this sort of stuff. Road Note is a place that you can just put your music for free and you get 85% of the profits. And Serge, you know, with the YouTube ad revenue, this is much better, profit margins than anything that could ever do. And also, if you pay them, let's say $20, you get 100% of the profit. So imagine perhaps one of your songs gets, let's say, 100,000 views or listeners. Of course, if you pay $20, you're going to get all of the profits from those, which is actually pretty nice amount, I tell you. So I tell you, go to the link in the description or link in the screen, roadnote.com/referral/2F73AAA8C. And why do I have a referral on it? Well, the simple reason is, I tell you, I believe in this service. This service has helped me so much to get to those places. They actually, I sent them messages about, hey, I want to learn about how the Spotify works and such, and they helped me. Also, they helped me up with the legal stuff, because I actually try at the moment to release this sort of Daggerfall remastered music to the Spotify and all these places, and they actually gave me all the legal information how to do it and how to not to do it. They help even with the covers and that sort of stuff. Even if you are not doing original music, they help you with that. So I recommend this service wholeheartedly. I have used it, and the only way those referral program is actually going to help me financially is that if you succeed, it does not take anything from you, and it only will help you. It help me if it helps you. Indeed! Oh! Yeah, well, now you will be knowing how to actually do it, I tell you, my friend. Because it's actually, when you got all of the places, if you got all of the things, it actually is not that complicated. It is just like everything, Serge is a YouTuber person. He knows that YouTuber is like how to being it. It's a grind. You have to,
Mr. Wilris.
You have to put time, effort, and all of that into that. So this series, we are not now in percentage 1. We had an episode last week, and we were from very literal 0. Hey, Mr. Walrus, welcome to the Composer, How to Become One, indeed. And I tell you, one of the things I still want to tell you, that if you have any questions, anything on your mind about these topics, you're more than welcome to share. Because the thing is, I might not know what is the most burning questions in your mind right now. Indeed, I like writing music. It's the same, everything good. Will take just some time, but I tell you, some of the people, I actually shared this stream to many composer groups in Facebook, and it's got kind of a weird sort of way how they say it. Many of them said that you have to have like the best genes in order to do it, and I tell you, no. I'm not going to be just saying that the genes is going to be the most important factor when it comes to this. No, it only is about how much work you're willing to put in there. I tell you, this is the only requirement, that's the thing. And I do believe it. Many of people, they might have, their skills when it comes to making music in the ways of, how to really put stuff into, let's say, rap music and such. You might not be able to perhaps the best do, like, jazz music, but that's okay, because there are different sort of music styles. I always say that, there should be different musicians, different musical styles, different approaches to music, always. I do believe this. very much. So this is the thing. I don't really believe what they say in there. I don't really believe what they say that, there's only genes that help you. Of course, genes can help you, but always 99 of the percentage of the time when you do this stuff, you need hard effort. Serge knows this, I know this, we all know it. So I recommend, if you put time to this, you are able to make it possible. But be realistic. Be a sort of a way that you can actually know that, hey, it will take some effort and you have to work hard. But without further ado, let's go to the list here as we just talked about. Hyperlastings. If you're willing to become a composer, these are the things you should know. So we are starting from the very last lesson. Actually, yes, indeed, last lesson we talked about simple how to start, purchase a digital audio workstation. All of this information, you can actually see that in the description. There should be a link in there, which I recommend to check afterwards, of a playlist of this whole thing. So I do recommend to check it out if you want to see all the things you missed from last time. But today is a special day because I tell you, we are going to be talking about how to become composers on the practical side of things. So we're going to be actually putting here a list. I'm going to be writing here information. Get your notebooks on. We shall begin. So one of the first questions I got, hey eluukkanen. So you gave me all this information about how to really, start and do this sort of stuff, which is of course useful in many ways. But one of the things many people said to me is that, eluukkanen, can you just, kind of step by step, what are the best optimal ways to really get into doing this? And I tell you, there is a way. There is always a way. I personally, if I can talk about my own experiences here, when I started, I actually did not start with composing at all. All of my music background has come from me from playing piano, indeed. And most of my learning for playing the piano after the basics is self-learned. In a sense that I started just, with a teacher, with the simple things, how to play with both hands. But it really... Oh, indeed, let's go. You're oddly active lately. Well, I am quite active, I tell you, because I have good information here. Of course, streaming every day. But I tell you, one of the things here is that I started with piano, and piano is one of the most useful ways to really understand how the music works, because piano you play with both hands. One of the hands is the harmony side of things, the background kind of the harmony, and the other hand is the right hand. Indeed, streams every day, always. But the thing is, the right hand is the melody side of things. So you have the left hand, right hand, all of those, your work and kind of understand how the music works. I'm going to share this stream to my friends. I would appreciate that, indeed. Hopefully this information is going to be useful. I tell you, one of the good ways to really start is possibly learn an instrument. This is going to be one of the best optimal ways to learn quickly about harmonies, about melodies, all of the little things that you need in order to make music efficiently. And this is, of course, optional. These are optional things, I tell you. I know many composers, and for some reason we have a double text. Oh, well, that's good. So these are all optional things. Why? Well, thing is, I know many composers actually that do not know how to play instrument whatsoever. They just actually worked on the music creation program with just computers, with a real keyboard. They just, did all of that with that. And you can do it. But these are the optional ways that actually going to help you quite a lot.
Piano, guitar, and ukulele.
Oh, that is very good. And do you know why that is useful? Because when you learn an instrument, this is going to be kind of a quick way to kind of understand how the music works. When I learned in that, I could kind of understand, each note is in the piano kind of all the keys are there. I can understand how the music works. I can actually, control the music, with just simple two-hand structure. And you can get keyboards pretty cheaply, so you can understand that. I personally have now an acoustic piano. Of course, if you invest too much enough into it, I recommend to get one. But optional ways, learning how to play an instrument, either a violin, either a drum, all of these things, they can give you perspective on how these instruments work. And it's so valuable when you actually get down to a notation program, if you get in front of the digital audio workstation, which, if people know, is a music creation program. If you get in front of that, when you have background in playing some instrument, then you are able to get far. So those are the, the great optional ways, and I do recommend taking one of these, because I tell you, they're going to help your life quite extensively. One of the optional ways also is, some say that music theory is the answer. And of course, music theory, what is music theory? Well, music theory is like, this sort of like school studies sort of fashion of music. You can actually learn all the technical stuff. It's like, being an auto mechanic. You know all of the little mechanic parts that are playing part of the music. And yes, it is based on classical learning curve, how to do classical music at first. But I tell you, it has a lot of helping when it comes to, let's say rap music and all these other music styles. Because, of course, when you learn how singing works, when you learn how the rhythms work, when you learn how all of these tiny little things work in music theory, like, let's say, what is like a music scale, what is the rhythmic, way of how to put things, what are the, C minor and, what is the minor scale, what is the, all these things. When you learn them, it's actually pretty easy to understand how the music works. This is going to be the music theory for me, especially. I don't know, it depends on the people. If you're a very mathematic person, music theory is very easy for you. For me, music theory was a bit harder to really get. Yeah, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. All of these things. And do you know what that means? Basically, how you sing, what are the, each notes for singing, as Sir just mentioned. All of this information might sound very alien to you, but it is super useful if you learn the right ones, especially when it comes to the creation of the music. I do recommend learn an instrument and music theory somewhat. You don't need to perhaps do any of it if you really want to just get into the music making, but these are going to be very easy things to kind of grasp the music. Because if you start from zero, like last time we actually talked about this example case, I'm actually going to be bringing him again over here. And this example person was Bert the Gardener. Bert the Gardener started his music lessons very, very simply, and he actually had no knowledge of the music whatsoever. But his friends said, and you could learn ukulele and understand somewhat about the music.
Enter too much on Discord, do
a little off topic, but you don't enter too much Discord, do you? Thing is, Mojoju, I don't know what do you mean. I haven't yet done the Discord thing. I was very busy, unfortunately, yesterday. But yes, thing is, Bert the Gardener has, last time he had some music dreams. He made really like a calculated what he needs for his, the computer tools and such. He gets some money from the gardening, and now he's actually investing that. But one of the things he is actually thinking of investing is learning how to play an instrument. And in this case, he has a ukulele lying around, just a simple ukulele on the corner from his father, late father. And thing is, the ukulele is kind of simple instrument. You can learn it, with online tutorials. There's so many different ways. But the gardener actually put effort into every week learning like 1 hour, 2 hours per week. Every week. Of course, he already works on a full-time job, so it's kind of hard for him to really put effort to really learn a new instrument. But if he puts 2 hours every week, 1 year, he's going to grasp how the ukulele really works. He looks at the online tutorials, all of this useful information that there is, which I recommend to check out. There's some good ones in there. So he puts the information, he looks the information, he learns, and now he grasps how to play ukulele, indeed. And with this now newly understood how to play music, he can implement later on. Of course, remember, this is later on useful, not in the beginning, but it's going to be a huge advantage if you know piano, ukulele, violin, drums, any of these things. Because I needed to myself, learning about, how to play drums, I needed to personally learn by just grinding afterwards. Because when I started the music thing, even if I notated excellently for, I suppose, okay-ish to piano many years ago, I didn't know how to play drums at all, and I didn't know how drums worked. So I needed to learn how the drums work, and then I could easily notate them. So these optional things are going to very much boost you forward in all of these things. So Bert Gardner, learn the instrument, got it. Then the next one is, he got some simple lessons online about music theory. I tell you, when it comes to creation of the music, it's not like the biggest thing you need, because of course, when we go back to the history, there were these bars and music players, in their backyards, and all these people that, let's say that they do bands and band music and such.
Have you ever thought to perform for me?
I must say thinking, and I'm kind of, streaming and that, kind of doing like that. But yes, if you talk about concerts, we're actually going to be going to how to do concerts in later episodes. We're going to be looking at how actually it takes, and I tell you already, it is quite an investment. It's kind of a different path on composing, and I'm doing it kind of differently. But yes, I've been thinking on it, but I will be talking about it later episodes, I tell you. But Gardner, music theory is this sort of optional thing in its own itself. It's very useful. I don't take me wrong, but I know many of these music theory people that say music theory is the most important thing ever, and you should only, like any composer has to learn it. No, I tell you, there's been composers before development of music theory. And it is true. Like, there has been bards and these sort of people that actually, from the enjoyment of the music craft, they have been able to create music, and you are able to do that. But music theory is a helpful tool, I tell you, a very helpful indeed if you get the basics of it. But the next stuff is, of course, when you learn an instrument. This is personally, for me at least, this connects to the learning of the instrument, but I think it's a good way to add here. I think even for the people that are later on learning sort of this, with their additional learning, this is, just have fun. And you might say, why I'm saying have fun? Well, I tell you, there's an important thing when it comes to music: improvisation. Improvisation. And what does improvisation mean? Well, improvisation is one of the ways that you can actually just go in front of, let's say, an instrument, or if you don't know instrument, in front of the composing program, and you just put anything there, just anything. And why is this important? Well, one of the people asked me in the beginning of in the last episode, he asked me, what are the things that I need really to get this going? Because the beginning is always the hardest one, I tell you. Many people say when they start with a blank page, how to really begin? What are the first words I should put? What are the things? And I do recommend have fun, improvisation in the beginning. It's so important, because so many people, when they get in front of their creation, when they get in front of the things, they have this sort of lockdown, like, what should I do? What should I do? And easiest way to go around this is just don't think about it. Just do anything. Nobody's going to judge you. You have only yourself to judge yourself. Don't think about it. Just do it. And this is very important, because the thing is, I spent like 4 minutes searching on the working.
4 minutes searching for a working pen.
Do you mean about this sort of electronical pen system? Well, I suppose. Do you mean a real pen? Oh? Well, anyways, I tell you, having fun and improvisation is hugely important. Because so many people, I don't know, search on you, because, it depends on the personality, but I know many of these sort of like personalities that are like, kind of, shy in a kind of showing their own work, which is, of course, it's normal. Don't you worry about it. But I tell you, having fun, improvisation, if you go in front of your, let's say, keyboard and, you have a free composing program, like, okay, let's just do something, and then you just do it. It's super helpful in creating stuff, because then you don't think about, too much on the what should you do. You just do it. And the thing is, with improvisation, you can actually accidentally do some very creative stuff. Because when you have your brain that is actively working, and of course your thinking brain is just like on the way of the creative brain, because the creative brain is it still works even though your active brain doesn't. if you just let it go and just do something, anything, just play with the program, you're actually learning quite a lot. When I personally started learning with this program called Sibelius, which is a notation program but can be used for putting a composition together, as I've shown in the composing streams, I just started playing with stuff. I just started, doing the most craziest violin combinations ever imagined by anyone. And of course that's kind of an exaggeration, but still, you can imagine how that looks. Nobody can actually play that, but it's just, it's fun. And the fun factor, you don't know how many people miss that when they start with the kind of the only kind of technical idea.
The choreography at the start, right?
The audience building is, of course, one of the things we're going to be touching upon. We are really in the beginning of this. We are just like 1%, as you notice. But I tell you, it's still a good thing to think about the audience growing later on when you want to release the music out there. But we are really talking about basic stuff. But I tell you, still it's good to think about later on and future on. And we are going to be talking about audience building, how to get, people watch you and enjoy your stuff. We're going to be actually talking that a little bit today, but more on the fact of what are the things that you really need to begin with. Because last time we talked about the realistic aspects of it. What do you need? What is the thing? What is the plan? And these are really optional, but I tell you, they will boost your goings. I learned how to play instrument when I was 6 years old, of course, because of my parents. It kind of helped me, but I tell you, I know a friend who learned of instrument when he was 18 years old or 25 years old. I know these two people, and they are very active in composing. You don't need to be a children playing a composing instrument. You don't need to do that in order to learn an instrument. I tell you. But that's a very important part, because then you understand how the music works. Then the music theory, the technicalities of the music. And then have fun, the improvisation, you just do it. Do it. Do not even really think about it, just do it to get all the way there. That's very good. You got to put your own creativity, indeed, and the creativity has to be limitless. You just have to, the thing is, nobody's going to judge you when you are doing it alone with yourself in front of computer or in front of piano. But it helps so much, because then it also helps on you to get this sort of actively on just getting the music done very fast. So please look at these optional ways, think about them. They will be very useful when beginning. So let's imagine Bert the gardener. Let me actually delete some of this stuff over here. But Bert the gardener, what is his stuff? Well, Bert the gardener is a very special case, because he has actually interest of making music for games, indeed. And why games, you might ask? Well, thing is, Bert the gardener, he has knowledge of many things on the gardening side of things, but he has been inspired, as we last time talked about, video games. And we're going to be now focusing on example of video games. And why so? Because I know many young people that have interest for music because of the music of video games. I know them. I personally had that myself with the Mardek when I started, if anyone here knows Mardek stuff. So that got me interested on the composing side of things. I saw this person, a person that, he just could do all of this sort of game music and all of these RPGs and such, and I got interested about the music that way. And depending on what is the way that you got interested on music, you should really try it out. And I'm going to be having an example of Bert the gardener doing game music stuff. So, okay, let's imagine these are the factors of Bert the gardener. He has actually purchased a program. He has purchased Logic Pro, Pro Tools, I mean. Pro Tools. And what is Pro Tools? Well, I'll tell you. Pro Tools is this sort of, let me actually, can I see it? Yes. Let me go and check it out. The Pro Tools is actually this program that is cost a little bit, but I tell you, it's good to actually use resources and time to purchase something to use in your music creation. Because all of those free programs, they are limited in so many ways, and they want to sell you microtransaction instruments, which I personally am not really fond of. I'm going to be, of course, looking later on all of the composing programs in a kind of a list format. But I tell you, this is personally, I tell you, one of the programs I've seen that people use quite a lot, which is, of course, called Pro Tools. Can I actually show it to you? Yes. cookies all the way. But Pro Tools is a way. It costs around $100. A kind of small, kind of a big investment when you are in the beginning. But I recommend it's one of the good ways. Also, there's a Sibelius notation program. That is one of the ones I personally use, which is of course. Which of course notates the program. You have to find your own way, and I recommend that. He basically, Bert the Gardener, when he started this whole thing, as you can see, Bert the Gardener is our example. When he chose this whole stuff.
It's sad how it's been 28 minutes and it says only 4 are watching. The last stream had 10.
Yeah, it of course it depends on this topic, and I don't mind, I very much believe. Imagine having 4 people listening you actively. I tell you, it's a big thing. Of course, I haven't yet shared too many places, but one of the things you want to do, if you want to help us out, please like the stream. I forgot to actually say. Liking the stream actually helps quite a lot, I tell you. One of the things, it does. But I tell you, like the last episode, I'm very much interested on sharing this afterwards to many composing groups as a kind of an episode format, so don't you worry about it. So the Bird actually got interested about the Pro Tools, about he tried a free program. And there are a multitude of these free programs. Just look at the search online with these terms. Let me actually show you on the screen. There's so many ways. Let me actually show you on the screen right now. So I go into my search engine. Here we go. DuckDuckGo is what I use. So you can search here. Free digital audio workstation, free DAW, and DAW is the word for audio workstation. Best free DAWs of 2020, Trovo beginners with download and all of this. You can check all of this good stuff. I recommend, of course, my friends at Rotenote. They might have very good stuff. We shall see. But there are some free composing programs out there that can help you. We can actually check those out right now and see, do I recognize any of these? We are going to be making a tutorial of some of these when we go down. But let's say there's a MooLab track 4 Audacity. Is not a really music making program in itself, but it's useful. There's Prison Studio 1.3 Prime, which looks kind of alright. It looks alright. There's Adore, there's Soundtrap, Rose Garden, Sunwave Podium, Free, LMMS. I don't know much of these, but it seems there's a lot of things to choose from, and you can see all of the trailers on there. No, don't you say that, my friend. Thing is, like, the topic we are currently discussing is not the most trendiest topics, I tell you. Because, of course, how to become a composer, there's people are interested about it, but I tell you, it is kind of like a down there somewhere. There are people that are searching this thing, so don't you worry about it. I tell you, this is still going to be reached by 100 people. I tell you. I guarantee that. The thing is, yes, there are so many different programs. You can see, I just put a link on the description. You can press it and see all of the stuff. Don't you worry. Oh, please, of course, I appreciate the feedback, and of course, I do appreciate people being honest with the streams. Don't you worry about it.
It's not negativity.
Indeed. Indeed, it's very good that you actually give me ideas and such. I do appreciate it. To be honest, honesty is the greatest way to really go. Oh, I just left on the screen. Honesty is the greatest way to really go forward on the stuff, I tell you. Honesty makes you learn some stuff. So if you have, let's say, this is actually going to be the next part of our discussion, but if you know anyone that has has time to actually check out your stuff that you do, any feedback whatsoever, when you feel like it, I recommend so much of trying to go and getting this feedback on yourself. Because when you get feedback from someone, anything, let's say, Search, you do your videos, Mojo, you do your game stuff. When you got feedback on what you do, it is quite helpful, I tell you. It is super helpful, because then you are able to actually look at the whole situation at hand, and you're able to really learn.
Well,
Elias is making my day because he's teaching me my dream. Oh, Hippo, please let me know, what is your dream in music? Because there's so many different ways to really do this sort of stuff. But let me actually put it on the list, as I just said, here on the screen. He tried a free program and he now purchased a Pro Tools thing. Alright, so he has now done some simple things with it. I tell you, look at that. He has done some simple things. simple things. I just copied it over here. Like, and here's doing some simple songs, simple improvisation song, simple testing with the program, testing with the program. Here we go. Now I can actually write English.
Hyperlasting.
I want a music instructor.
I want to be a music instructor.
Oh well, how is so? Do you know how to play an instrument already? Well, that is a very good goal. There's many people that want to have music teachers on their side. Indeed, one of the things we're actually going to talk about that later. But of course, it's an investment, so it's not a beginning thing. But Gardner, he tried a free program. He has purchased a Pro Tools something, and he's done some simple testing. He has actually used the tools that are with the Pro Tools. The first instruments he has tested with them, some piano stuff and such. He did it, and now the greatest thing is actually going to be able to do, and the best way to learn is to get some feedback. Any feedback from anyone, really. The best way to really get feedback is your close family, but one of the problems with getting feedback from close family is that, they can be just, depending on your family, they can be realistic or either like too nice or perhaps too harsh. It's not perhaps the best way to get feedback. But if you get any feedback, friends that want to give you feedback,
watch a YouTuber rise to glory. I will be here until oblivion. On the note of honesty, I'm honest as a person. So
honesty, and we need the honesty, man. I tell you, Mojo, that's what we're going to be doing. Honesty and realism.
That's nice.
That's nice indeed. I appreciate Mojo Joe. It's a pleasure to have you on the recent streams. But I tell you that the thing is, if you have a friend, anyone that know that is going to be helpful for you, actually giving good feedback, even harsh feedback, it's so helpful. You don't know how helpful it is. I actually have a cousin of mine that always says this one thing: the bad feedback is the best feedback. The negative feedback is the best feedback, because then it forces you to learn. It's like an anvil. You hit a hammer on an anvil, the fire comes out of it. That's how you're able to get far. Of course, there can be a kind of a constructive feedback and then just negative feedback, but the constructive feedback in a negative way, it actually is the most helpful of the feedbacks. Imagine that. Usually people associate with negative feedback to be kind of unuseful information, but as we have talked about in the past about these creative people that might have kind of lost their way, these sort of like people that have they don't want to listen to feedback. We have actually talked about in the past. It's good to get feedback, and it's good to be open for feedback if it's useful, because man, there are so many things even I don't learn, and the feedback I get from people helps so much. I tell you.
But I don't care. Only snakes have any reason to fear honesty.
The thing is that I think it's how we have been bought. Actually, we have been taught on this society that negative is kind of bad. But I tell you, as Mojo said, honest feedback is so underrated. I had this person that actually does, like my cousin actually does this sort of like TV programs and such.
You learn something every day.
Indeed, and you don't know what you're missing if you are not open for that. But of course, there can be negative troll people. We're going to be perhaps talking about troll people when we get like a 50% from how to become a composer down here. If we have 50% of that.
As people say.
As people say, indeed. That is the truth. And I tell you, I've seen many sort of cases that actually their worst enemy is themselves. I'm going to be talking about it on a later episode, possibly. But of course, we are in the beginning. This is not super relevant here. Indeed. To make mistakes. Mistakes are the best way to learn, indeed. Some feedback. And let's say Bert Gardner has got some feedback on himself. Look at that. Bert Gardner and his feedback. And now, he actually got negative feedback. And what is the negative feedback he has? Negative feedback. And of course, let's do smiley downwards like that. So the thing is, Bert the Gardener, he tried a free program, he purchased Pro Tools, simple testing. Ollie the Rapper, dude, hello! Actually, watched your stream yesterday, what we did. Very good to see you. A person that builds mobile phones, very, very lovely thing. He has purchased Pro Tools, simple testing with program, and now he got some feedback, the negative feedback it is. And why is that? Well, the problem with the Bert the Composer is the fact that, he's of course a beginner, but one of the beginner mistakes he actually did was just, it was it was hard to follow, I suppose, for the bird. Of course, there can be many different, ways you can improve. Let's say, one mistake I personally did, I make the music in a way that it was, in the beginning, that it was could not be played by real people.
No such thing
it
as
had no
negative
realism
feedback,
aspect on
only
it.
feedback, both good and constructive and hate.
Indeed. So there's no such thing as negative. They are kind of negative. They can be this sort of troll people, but that's kind of given, and you can deal with them easily. But I tell you, feedback I personally got many times when they making my music, because I did a lot of improvisation in the beginning. The improvisation, just putting stuff there. And which I personally enjoyed, but like I see that didn't really resonate with many, and I understand that.
Hi, Olli the repair guy. Welcome to a learning.
Welcome to a learning stream, indeed. Olli the repair guy, does some cool stuff. I recommend to check if you want to repair your phone. Welcome to a learning stream, indeed. This is our learning how to become a composer, a musician, the greatest known composer for video games. That, like the bird the gardener is doing. He got some negative feedback, and what did he do from the negative feedback, actually? Well, as Bert is a gardener, he's very much, he has gotten feedback in the before. He actually takes the feedback, takes the feedback, and improves the music. And that's the thing. Of course, these are simple things. If anyone here that has already knowledge of composing is watching me afterwards and it's like, man, this is the most simple things ever. Well, I tell you, there has not been really, as far as I know, this sort of like a very step-by-step, like kind of understanding the mindset of the beginning composer. And this is what...
but 1,000,000 times better.
Yeah! Have you seen those, electronical schools? They now have those sort of like, go to online and teachers stay 15 minutes and then you have like all this homework all the rest of the day. Thanks. Yes, of course. The thing is, Bert the Gardener has now become 1%. Like, he is actually now learned the beginnings. He actually does the music, he has some idea of how to do music, and he got some feedback. Well, let's make an example of what sort of music actually he did. That's the thing, we actually didn't talk about what sort of music was on his mind when Bert the Gardener started this whole thing. Well, we're going to be telling you it's going to be a game music from his favorite series, Mario. Because, of course, Bert the Gardener, as we talked last time, he has a Nintendo Switch, and he liked the Mario Odyssey game, and of course he wants to make music like Mario Odyssey. This is just an example, you can put any sort of like what you want to do on here, but I tell you. So he wants to make a game music style, and basically his first song was called, Mushroom Kingdom or something like Mushroom Kingdom. The thing is, he just started doing it, he just made the music, had some idea on behind that, and he started doing that. It's always a very good to have some kind of, when you start making a song, sort of like what you want to achieve, sort of like a plan. When it comes to creating the actual music itself, what I've personally found out, especially in the beginning, it's good to do, let's say, one song in one go. And why do I say that? One song in one go. So Bert the Gardener, let's say, he has 3 hours to make a song. He actually used that 3 hours to make a song. Made in 3 hours. And I tell you, it can be bad, it can be good, don't you worry. But let's say you have a time limit of making your first song. 3 hours, just playing with the program and seeing how it goes. It's good to just do it in one go at first, because in many times, this is one of the things you're going to encounter when you do composing things. You're going to encounter this. You're going to see that, hey, when you do a song, and then you later on, hey, let's open the old song, then you kind of lost the spirit to actually make it, because you don't actually remember what the old song was about. And many times I've noticed, many old composers can actually agree with this, and I personally have had this many times. When you start a project, it's hard to restart it in a fashion. When you have an original idea, let's say Bert the Gardener has for Mushroom Kingdom, he made it in 3 hours and never touched on it again, because it's one of his first songs. He just wanted to test it out. And it's good to have just 3 hours, 1 day, 3 hours, put time on it, make the song. It's good. Why is that? Well, the thing is, Bert Gardener tried later on to do it again. and he lost the inspiration
I
on
am
it.
defiantly going to follow all your steps.
Okay, there are many ways to do it, but I tell you, like, I'm very much doing the basics of it, because the thing is, when you have hyperlasting kind of a playbook on, step-by-step basis, there's some kind of a map to follow. One of the things I want to say to composers, I said it in the last episode, but I'm saying it again, when you're doing the music, you are going to be your own boss. And it's kind of frightening at first, but you can be, it gives you so much freedom, and that's why it's good to have some steps in the beginning, but then you can make your own steps afterwards. Moji said, even with all those steps, you need certain circumstances to fit, and luck can smooth very much to the glory. Of course, luck can be a good factor, but many of the artists, I say, actually people that are in big academies, that have, lead these sort of orchestras, and some of my colleagues in Facebooks and such, when I share this to them, they say like, you need genes and this sort of stuff.
You're funny, Mohu.
Yes, indeed. I tell you, there's some true to that. Luck, it helps. But I tell you, 99% of your skill is going to be how to just grinding, doing it, just doing it. That is the 99% of your skills that you are able to achieve from this. So Bert the composer made a song in 3 hours and never touched upon it again. It's good in a practicing phase to have that. Truth, it's lovely.
Odd specimen.
Mojoju. Oh, I have very much lovely, different sort of interactions over here. But I tell you, this is Bert the Gardener's story. He started from simple things. He started very simple things, just making a song one day, one song, 3 hours or something, and you don't care if it's a bad song. Just you'll learn how the different programs work. Like you have here, let me just actually open one of the programs that is in here.
Excuse
me. I tell you, one of the things I'm showing you here, the Pro Tools on the downside of here is basically, here we go. So the Pro Tools over here is a very simple program. You can play with it, do this sort of stuff, and this is basically how it looks on, here we go. The program looks like this. It can be crazy looking, your music, if you put it. Like, don't you worry about it. Just do it. Just make it. Just do it. It's going to be so useful to just start doing it and creating a song. And this is a very critical stage for many. Because, imagine being yourself, not having anyone to help you. Of course, we are here, Eluukkanen, and we're helping you out. And I appreciate, of course, if you're watching the stream right now, liking the stream would help. But I tell you, you might not have anyone here to really support you in the beginning, and that's why it's so important to get feedback, of course, but just to work on the songs and get the sort of the feeling, of like how to really start doing this. Because the thing is, when I started, I have no idea how to do it. I just put some stuff there, and it was bad, and possibly. Later on, if I'm ever getting big, I'm going to be doing a stream of showing my worst songs. When I started, they were really bad, and I tell you, I tried to really, you can see, I tried to really be this sort of like doing this sort of game music style that I really enjoyed. I really tried hard to make it so. So just beginning, it helps.
Do independent musicians have a tougher time making it to the big world?
Independent musicians, okay, let me actually talk about the independent musician thing. That's actually a good topic to talk about here. Let me actually go on there. Eluukkanen, Reaper is more affordable than Door. Definitely the best value. Actually, let me see. Eluukkanen, welcome to the stream. A pleasure to have you. A new person over here. Let me actually see. Reaper Door. That might be a good information. Might be a good information. We shall see. Let me know about this program on your own mind. But I tell you, let's go to, let's see, what is the, here we go. Reaper. Reaper's complete digital audio production application for computers. Possibly might be useful. Possibly. A search means that, you might have, let's say, a person just doing with a company. Or you might have friends who help you out. As I said in the last stream, if you have friends to help you out, please have them to help you out. Please have them to be part of the creation, in a sense that you can get feedback from them. They can perhaps help you out if you know a TV person who possibly needs like a background music stuff. That is a way to do it.
You can notate in that program too.
Oh, very useful. So this is the program. Actually, let me open it. Here we go. Not this is my own music. Oh, there's an accident. Here we go. So Reaper, as you can see, look at that. Reaper, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, musician who works solo. We're going to be talking about that. I'm going to be showing this program if it's useful. I haven't tried it out before. So basically, it can do both of the things. You can purchase it one time and no additional cost. You can have videos to learn. There's resources. It actually looks very nice. It looks very nice so far. And there's many different effects to really do this, it seems, at the same time. And as you can see, people going to a chef's or something. Anyways, let's see how the price is. Let me see, purchase. Let's go and see how it costs. Are you composer yourself, Iloinen Ukko? Let me know. Okay, so discounted license $60, a commercial license $250. If you want to test it out, I suppose this could work. I have too much information on this program, so if you want to let me know more, let me know, because there's so many of them. But the independent musicians, I want to share some information to you about independent musicians. Some of the people have helped, have kind of a better time in a sense that, of course, do not look down upon it. But if you have a helping hand, let's say a company helps you out, if you have like friends to help you out, use that. Usually independent musicians are somewhat everyone in the beginning. But later on, if you get more skill, if you get more reputation, you can be part of a company and make stuff for them. And of course, the company is going to be helping you in many other ways on like promoting your stuff, but it's going to be just on the later episodes. This is not yet on that time, but I try.
A program called Boskacher Oil.
Boskacher Oil?
I haven't tinkered on it much yet.
Man, there's so many different programs. I want to actually make a video of like 100 different music programs, just looking at every single one, seeing what is the best.
Give good luck to you.
Hey, Serge, we learned these things of the stream, and I gonna give good. Hey, Hippo, if you have it, like, what is the way to really approach it on your side? What is your dream that makes you go forward? Because you need to have that in order to really get enthusiastic about this. But yes, we're gonna actually talking about now the next step when going forward. So Bert actually now knows how to do some music stuff. He did some music theory classes. He actually knows how music theory works. So the idea is, what now? He has some audio on his hand, let's say some MP3s of his music, and it's just like, okay, so now what? What do I do with this stuff? Like, do I just put it somewhere online and hoping for the best, hoping for the, you know, the luck of the, like in films you can see like, oh no, now I can like accidentally, algorithm helps me out. I tell you, it's not going to be that. At least, you know, you might have the luck, but I tell you, 99% of the cases you're not going to have that. I personally did not have that. I just started putting my stuff on this place back in the day, on this place called, oh, I have the Facebook over here again. Let me open here. This is SoundCloud. And SoundCloud is useful in many ways. One of the ways it is useful that you can start putting their stuff there. It can be a CV. Ah, yes, you mentioned. Oh, brother helps you. Yeah, that's good. You have someone to support you. It's very good to have someone to help you out in the early stages. It's very good. Thank you, Serge. And I do. Good job. Good to have brothers, good to have people helping out. And Shadow the Parrot, welcome also to the stream. A very pleasure to have you here. Thing is now, we have here this place called SoundCloud. I'm going to be actually talking about distribution. So the idea is that when you have Bert the Gardener, he wants to put his music somewhere. Well, why is that? Let me actually go to the why before I show these places. Why is that? Well, he wants to get his music heard. He wants to get his music heard. And of course, everyone wants to do that. So how does he do that? Well, there are online ways to put your music out to. One of them, of course, is SoundCloud. We're going to be talking about those different things. Hello, Shadow the Parrot. We have a Norwegian artist person, Shadow, here. Oh, how are you doing, Shadow? Now, thing is, we're going to be talking about SoundCloud and good and bad side of it. This is one of the biggest ones you're going to be noticing at first, because, you know, many people use it. It's a free, at least in the beginning. And you can get your music, you know, heard by some people. There's some bad sides to it. I'm actually talking about the good side first. So, free in the beginning. Free in the beginning. You don't need to host your own website to do this sort of stuff, at least. And you can get some listeners, possibly, if you do it the right ways. You can actually get algorithm to listen to your stuff. You can get you can find listeners, indeed. I myself haven't been investing too much time in the SoundCloud recently, but I tell you, in the beginning when I started this whole thing, SoundCloud was useful. You can just put your, like, let me actually go to the website here right now. When we go to the website, and as you can see, I have some stuff. I should be actually more active in here. But you can see it on my view account, it's quite small. But I tell you, if I just now upload a piece on here, I can just drag and drop my song in here, and it does the stuff. Here we go. You got some stuff over here. Oh. Very nice. So you can help on that. At the same time, very good. Vakitai Akshugs you. Welcome to the stream. We are talking about how to become a composer. Do you have any interest for that? But I tell you, SoundCloud is good. With free, you can have listeners. It can be a CV. So when you get to future, want to perhaps be like a person for game projects, you can actually have a resume. You have a CV for your music. I just music. Oh, I see. So you put in there. Let me know what the name of that is. But I'll tell you, SoundCloud positives is it's free in the beginning. Of course, later on when there's a kind of a limit for putting music. Unlike YouTube. Also, you can find listeners. I tell you, you can find that, and you have CV. So those are the positive side. I'm actually put a plus mark on them so you can understand that they are positives of these places, indeed. Because they are going to be negatives, and oh boy, we're going to talk about some negatives of SoundCloud. Oh boy, I'm actually going to be talking, perhaps making our own video about it. But I'm going to be just here in the tutorial show you a way that it's going to be very useful in the beginning possibly. But these are the nasty things about it. So, as nasty thing is that you have to pay at some point, and it's a kind of thing that they first get you hooked on the service, and they're going to be paying you after you pay, like, let's say, was it like $50 a year or $100 a year or something like that? It's a nasty amount in the beginners, I tell you. That's why I do recommend when it comes to distribution, as I shared in the last time, I do heavily recommend this service. Of course, we have that in the description as well. This service called Roadnote in order to distribute it for free, but you have to pay in this service, which is nasty. Also, there's a lot of scammers in there. There's a lot of these scammers that approach the new guys, and what do they sell? Well, there are these scams of selling views, scams of selling views. Hey!
I already subscribed to you.
I might have seen your name before, who knows, but I appreciate you being subscribed, of course, and liking and that sort of stuff, that helps. Streams, selling views, followers, and etc. This is a problem in any site, but especially very big in here. SoundCloud is known for having scammers like that always. I'm being approached like every week, a message from there. Hey, want to get free views? I want to get popular? Pay us $10 to get millions of views. And don't do that. It's not real views. You want to get real people on watching your stuff. You don't want to just get some numbers. It's the same with YouTube, but I tell you, when it comes to YouTube, it's actually much more dangerous because it might get your channel deleted. But I tell you, don't do it. Don't purchase numbers. You don't want it. One of the people here, was it Moju? You mentioned that, we have only few people watching this. And I tell you, I don't mind because I know they are real people. You are not a bot somewhere in India putting numbers and likes on my stuff. I tell you, you are real people. And I know it because I've never done that sort of, purchase views, that sort of stuff on here. So the thing is, I have much more value on that. So scams, be careful of that. They're going to scam you. They're trying to scam you.
I believe the best way to become a known artist is to go Nation Got Talent alias. That's how people do it here.
No. I'm actually going to be talking about that. And there's some videos talking about that, actually, that topic. It has goods and negatives, and many negatives, I tell you. You got a Finnish English accent. Oh, I thank you very much on that. I'm from Finland, so of course. So the next one is that... the next one is actually... This is going to be a hard one. You're going to compete with so many people. It's actually hard to get followers to actually listen to you. Followers hardly listen you back. That's the thing. In here, when I got YouTube subscribers, even though, sometimes the algorithmic can't do not like me, they sometimes do. And I can get people that actually press the subscriber button, like Vaxtai Akvajuju. Sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. Those people can come back. In SoundCloud, as I say, I have 1,000 followers. I never got to any one of those. And I can have data to prove it. Also, the negative thing is that you have to pay for the data. That's the nasty thing.
If I was not real.
Yeah, that's very.
That's an interesting topic.
Talk about the negative nation. Oh, well, let's do that next, Tom. Let's do that next. Because we're going to be now talking about he wants to get his music heard, and SoundCloud is one of the ways. One of the big negative thing is that you have followers do not listen at all. Well, I tell you, SoundCloud is kind of declining platform. That's the thing. It is, it's not as growing as it was, and it's going only downwards if you look at the numbers. Also, you need to pay for the stats. If you want to see who listens to you, you have to pay for that. In YouTube, you have YouTube Analytics. YouTube actually gives you analytics of who, what they watch, what do they do, and it helps you. I'm going to be actually showing you later on how is it helpful. But I tell you, these are very nasty things.
Now I'm on page 2.
Page 2. What do you mean? But I tell you, thing is, you mean about notes? Oh, very good. You've been learning well. So free, you can find listeners, you can have CV, you can have, you have to pay at some point. There's scams, their followers hardly listen to you. It's a declining platform, and the nastiest thing, I tell you, this is so important because I use it actually. It's useful for me when I release my music in Spotify and other places through route note service, as you can have link in the description. I tell you, this is what SoundCloud does not give you if you are free. Free account locks listener stats.
I am puzzled why you would write notes if the stream stays on YT.
Well, if you want to watch it afterwards, perhaps offline. And also, it's a good way to learn. I tell you, when you have something to write upon, your brain registers it much better. I'm also writing down main things.
Writing down main things you say.
Very good. So you put all of the things. Very good. So those are the things, and now I'm going to be putting those off because we're going to be actually talking about still on the Nation Got Talent sort of fashion. And I want to actually, this is going to be very much connected to what Serge mentioned before. Like he talked about, what if you are independent person? And I tell you, there's a lot of things you can actually get ruined by this. I tell you, this is a very dangerous thing. Many people who watch, let's say, USA Got Talent sort of program, they think, hey, he just comes there and gets everything done. I tell you, we're going to be actually talking about the nasty things and good things about it. Nation Got Talent, let's see. Nation Got Talent. And you can add anything on the Nation side of things, as Mojo noticed. You can have anything on there. But Nation Got Talents, what I've understood on it, of course I've not personally went there, but I tell you, what I understand the good side of it is that you get a lot of exposure, possible exposure. And this is like you can get viewed by millions of people. Exposure. And it's like a two-handed, so like it's kind of a two-way stream. It can be actually a positive and negative at the same time. Positive and negative. But it's a huge positive, it can be huge negative. Because if you are not ready with your music style, and you are already shown by so many people, it can be, if you are not ready, let's say, it can be a huge negative, I tell you. Because if you just, because then people are going to know you for the music that you show in there. Oh, very good. Sabek! Hello there! Welcome to the stream from Poland! We are talking about how to become a composer. And we're going to be talking about Nation Got Talent. Let me know, anyone here actually, have you watched this program at all? Yo! I tell you, exposure is good, it can be both and bad. Positively, you can be seen by millions of people. The next positive thing is that you can actually get managers. You can get someone, if you are liked and you become this sort of like a known person, you can get managers. And that's a positive and negative at the same time. Actually, you can have a very big positive or very big negative. It depends. It very much depends.
I am writing notes too.
Oh, very good.
This is,
I think, useful thing, because we are actually going to step by step instead of just being like, do this just one thing. We're actually talking about all of the things over here. So look at this. Exposure. Manager is the next thing. Imagine having someone to actually help you out by putting those songs out there to all of the places. Imagine having someone like that to support you. That is what managers do. The nasty thing about managers and companies. Company. Let me see what's here. Company. I was always kind of person who absorbs into before. Yeah, it of course depends on the person. But I tell you, a company and managers, they can be huge negative or huge bonus. Because usually when you have a company on your side, they force you to sign an agreement that you are essentially their property. And it might sound bad, but it's essentially what it is. You have a, let's say, artist name of like a Gardener Bird. That's your artist name. You can of course have anything there, but Gardener Bird's artist name is the Gardener. That's his artist name. And so when you work with them, you have to sell that IP for them, meaning that you are not in control anymore. Meaning possibly, if it's a bad case of scenario, those managers can change what you are. There's this person called Robin in Finland who actually, don't ask me how I know this, but I have this information on the managers of this person and what sort of things he had, because Robin basically is this child star in Finland, like who made these few songs and was very big.
10 people.
Oh, 10 people, very much, lovely thing. But thing is, I don't know how don't ask how I know this, but I know this manager person that's this Robin person. Robin was a big thing in Finland. I don't know if he still is, but I think he's still known. This sort of child singer star, and what he had basically all of his biggest songs. These the Frontside Ollie and all these songs, they are basically written by a manager. They are not made by the person himself. That's the sad thing. And at some point of his career, the Robin person basically had a kind of an argument with the manager. So the manager stopped helping him out. And the managers can be like a gateways to success in the world. They can be like getting you to TV programs. They can get you to places. Of course, they're going to take a huge cut of the profit, but you're going to still get paid somewhat. But the biggest problem is that you are not able to control how things go. Because if you basically, let's say, if you have gotten used to the manager and the manager leaves you, you are basically, what should I do now? Sort of fashion. And the interesting part is that the manager, I know that for this person that was Robin, basically they got an argument. They never really work again, I think. And that you can see the kind of the effect it has had for his career, and I know it, and it's interesting sort of fashion. Seeing these managers and doing their magic. They're this sort of like a background ghost helping you out. I was writing so much in school. I was trying to actually understand. What do you mean by Serge? I could do it. You mean by the views? I appreciate it, of course. If you enjoy this current discussion, I recommend to press the like thing. It very much helps.
I never said he can't.
Indeed.
Third 3. I absolutely love.
But I tell you, this company thing is very dangerous. It can be very I appreciate it, Serge. But I tell you, this is very dangerous. I'm not controlled by any company. I'm controlled by myself. The problem is that if you are managed, if someone controls you, you don't have freedom at all. But at the same time, if you're not managed and that manager is, if you are managed and you are very, the manager is good, then you basically get like a hyper boost. Like, Superman gets a hyper boost from the ground. Like, phew. It's a hyper boost. But the thing is, you have to put into value aspects. If you get a manager, if you sign a contract, are you going to lose everything? Are you going to lose your soul? Because after all, it's not the money you're doing this for, is it? If it's the money, then sign everything. Yeah, do everything. But I tell you, if it's not the money, if you actually want to do some music that you want to do, think about this. Think about the managers, because one of the things that I know when you go into this Nation Got Talent programs, you have to sign a contract. And I think the United States Got Talent program, you have to actually sign that they can actually control how you manage yourself in social media. They control what you're able to say, because you actually signed that right away. So not many people actually know this sort of stuff. And many of the cases, of course, you might not even possibly make it out. You might not be the final 4, my final 10. You might not even get to the end. So it's a huge risk. Huge risk indeed. And there's actually this case, interesting case called Sara Aalto. If anyone here knows this female called Sara Aalto, a very known singer in Finland. I think it's exposure.
Progress when you focus on composing music.
It's good to get in the beginning, on my at least opinion. Yes.
I've been subscribed to Eluukkanen Composer channel for I think 2 years, but haven't come around until December.
I appreciate it, Serge. Interesting that you're being far from there. But I tell you, this is the thing. There's this singer called Sara Aalto. Sara Aalto. And Sara Aalto basically was this kind of almost won this UK Got Talent thing. And what's interesting about this? Basically, Sara Aalto is very active, she's very successful, and she got the exposure points from there. But the interesting part, she didn't win the whole Nation Got Talent, because the idea is that when you win the whole thing, you get into this sort of agreement contract, and they're going to be using you kind of as a puppet to really go to these old gigs, and people are going to write music for you to sing and such. It's going to go like that. And I think Sara Aalto actually won that thing very good ways, because when he lost, quote unquote, he actually got the exposure, but at the same time I think the contract went down, in a sense that she got her freedom. So that's the interesting part of this whole thing. Like, there can be a way to use it, but you have to basically get the exposure and then lose, essentially. So you can still use it in your advantage, but depending on the contract, if you win the whole talent show, then you're going to be controlled puppet person, basically, as I understand it. But if you're able to lose in the final 3 or something, you're able to still get quite a lot of exposure to the things. I tell you, it's going to be still hugely useful. So as you can see, I'm not posting anything here, anything else, because there are plus and minuses in both positive and negative aspects to all of these things. So Nation Got Talent, do you want to go there? Please be careful. Be careful, because you might end up being kind of this sort of star that is being milked of all of his worth, of her worth, and it's bad. But I think Bert is not really considering this, because there's not really a way for him to be getting into this sort of things himself.
I absolutely loved your atmospheric northern music in
hey,
your
I appreciate
on
it.
Spotify.
Yes, we got some music in the Spotify. I recommend anyone composers putting through road node, as I posted in the description and such, if you want to bet your music out there. I was
subscribed to Eluukkanen since 2 years
I
ago.
remember I've seen you here in the past. But I tell you, so Bert the Gardener, 2 options. One of them is SoundCloud on these other websites. I personally, when it comes to websites, I recommend YouTube, because it's not an audio platform per se, but I tell you, it has been very useful for me. I tell you, one of the best ways to really get to see new people. Like in the Surge and Muju, I was able to find through this place. So yeah, it's a useful, I tell you. But if you want to really build the music space, Spotify, iTunes, those are the places, and of course, as I put the link down there, Road Note is going to help, and I use this program myself, indeed. But I think that's about it when it comes to the beginning of Bert. Bert has now made the music. He has now shown it to the world. He has now developed his music far, and I think, I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we can actually proudly here put percentage 2 on here. Now imagine, he has actually done some music now. We are now percentage 2, as you can see. How to become a composer from 0 to 2%. And I tell you, it's a huge increase. You have already went through quite through many things, I tell you.
How you built up to being a composer, and now you're teaching us.
Indeed, we are going to be showing all the ways. Of course, there can be many ways to do it, and many of the people I share this to Facebook, they're going to disagree so heavily with me. They say that you need the genes and you need the music theory, only focus on that. You know, not all of the people on Facebook, but I tell you, there's many people actually got me feedback afterwards of that. I noticed Eluukkanen when commented on my game Joel. Yes. I actually, I saw your stuff on there. When complete Mardek 4, you will get a lot of attention. We shall see how that goes. I'm interested to see how that Mardek game thing. Actually, we could talk about this now. This is a very good, actually, connection. Still, last thing I want to show you, which is a very useful thing. So now, Bert wants to his music heard. The next, which I believe is the best way, the most best way to put it, get your music to games, animation, videos, So many different ways. I think that the thing is, if you want to be independent, this is the best way to do it. Get your music to games, animation, and videos of someone else. And I tell you, when I started my journey, I just did some stuff in Soundcloud. When Soundcloud was very good, I was actually contacted by people that said, hey, want to do this, want to do that. And I got into projects. And projects are so useful.
You got to love Bert.
Bert is very excellent.
No huge Uju.
Bert is trying hard. He's
Yes.
doing well. He's not yet the most known composer of the world. But I tell you, when he gets to 100%, he's going to be like the world's known composer. Because I'm not yet. I personally, when I talk about my stuff, I am still not there like the 100%. I'm actually going to interview some of the composers that have actually reached 100%. I'm currently in discussion with those people. So we're going to have those perhaps next week. Thing is, getting your music to games, animation and videos is huge. Imagine that, you know, all of that marketing, all of that sharing your music, you need to just don't do it at all. And then you actually get paid for that. Imagine that. You know, imagine. And that is what project actually is. In eluukkanen, sense of word, I personally went to project. There was this a visual novel, not very known one, but I actually got some experience of how to make music for others. Yes, indeed. If you want to get exposure, actually real exposure, and even paid, which I personally do a ton, is work for others. Work for others. And this is going to be a whole other topic we're actually going to be talking next time on here. Possibly more, but I tell you, working for others, going to game project, what is it going to be useful for? Well, the thing is, if you work for others, you're able to get a very valuable experience, essentially experience in your beginning stage of career. Very good experience, because the thing is, you're basically making music for someone. They have a goal, they want you to do, let's say, like a platformer music, like adventure platformer music for ice level. Then you go, hey, actually I don't need to think about what I should do. I just need to do that what he says, and you do it. For some people, doing music for others is nasty, and they feel like they won't want to do it, and that's okay. You don't need to do that. But I tell you, it is a very useful way to really still have the self-expression in there, and at the same time being independent. And at the same time, getting good stuff from it. So we're going to be seeing what that good stuff is.
To turn the page.
Page 3,
Page
here we
number
go.
3,
Hopefully,
here we
possibly
come.
our final page of today's. But I tell you, you're being a very goodly studying on this. I tell you, I wish I would have known this in the past. I tell you, I did so much stumbling around. The thing is, you can have a very good experience from it. You can actually do music that people ask you to do. You don't need to think about what the music is. The good thing about that, you can get paid. You can get paid, not in the beginning though. Thing is, if you want to really get your foot on the hold, the only way you're getting paid when you do music is because of your experience, because of your CV, because of your resume, because of your past work. Only way to get paid and say to, like, okay, let's say, let's go to the Game Jolt page. Like one of the people I actually, met in Game Jolt was Joaquin. If you go to Game Jolt, there's so many different indie developers. They want to have their custom music in there. There's a lot of competition, but you can have it. And I tell you, many of them say like, okay, so what work have you done in the past? And if you have zero, then the best way to get to project is say, okay, I can do this for free. This is my first time, but I'm able to do some quality stuff. So, that's how you're able to get project in the first. We're going to be talking about that in later episodes, I tell you that much. But you can get paid, potentially, if you work hard on it. Currently, my rate is around $150 per minute of music, indeed. That's my current rate. I'm talking about money and such. And, it's not the hugest amount, but imagine, let's say, doing you can. I'm just going to be giving you kind of a tastings of this. My current rate is around like that. Of course, I negotiate it up if I can. The thing is that so like 1 minute. So let's say 30 minutes acts $150. It's actually a pretty nice amount, and for me it doesn't really take that much. Minus.
Learning from you and learning the whole Finnish language in 6 months.
Hey man, if you can do that, I'm actually going to be a clapping thing. I like 1 minute of clapping for you. I tell you, if you can do it, it's a very hard thing. But I very much, yeah. Creating your own game music won't get you far unless you tie yourself to some big event or game. That's the thing, Moju. I personally recommend to try to aim to projects first that are not that big, because then you can get the experience, but then aim to projects that are like big, because then you can get exposure. Indeed. My game guide was a day old when you commented on the... Yeah, lucky to get noticed. I actually sometimes look at the projects on GameJolt. Like, that's the way. If you want to actually get to projects, it's sometimes good to actually go and check those people out. Like Joaquin, you know, all these people, they make games. And possibly Joaquin himself, of course, he wants music for his project. Actually, if anyone here is... I don't know, is Joaquin already with the music and such? But still, there's a lot of... Indeed. It's like dictionary, so that is my current like minimum rate. That's the thing, minimum. You can of course get that up. The thing is, imagine that sort of stuff. So personally, you can get paid, not in the beginning, but it's good to get some foot in the behind, you know, in the whole thing. And once you get that, then you're really getting started. You can get known if it's a big project. You can get actually known by the project itself. Like. Let's say there's a big game project like Minecraft. Of course, Minecraft, you know, they had the professional people. But if you have a big project and your music tied to it, it's only positive. If big project,
you are finished, right?
Get shared.
I like the song Jet Molotov.
Hey! Niet Molotov. Yeah, we have a lot of those sort of lovely songs. Oh, I wish I would actually, in future, do that sort of Finnish style of music stuff. Yeah, but yeah, if a big project, you get shared a ton. Thing is, you get a lot of exposure. My first exposure was this game called Samurai Wars for a mobile game. Actually, I recommend to check out mobile titles because you can actually get a lot of notice on that. There's a lot of mobile games people are playing, and that's one of the places I recommend to check out. Of course, Steam is nice, but it's much more opportunities, I think, on the mobile spectrum. And also, they pay a little bit, you know, nicer because, of course, microtransaction hellholes. But the thing is, very good experience when you work on others. Thing is, you are going to lose some freedom, but not completely. You have to be doing something that people ask you to do. Many times when I work for people, let's see, very good stuff. The nasty thing about you have to do what you are told. You have to do what you are told. That's the nasty thing for some people. They want to have their freedom, and you know, don't do this if that's the thing. You can do concerts and stuff, you know, it's up to you. But the thing is, I personally don't mind at all. I've many times had this sort of nasty thing that if someone comes to me and, you know, say I do music for them, they say, yeah, that's bad, do another one. Or their collaboration stops completely. That is a reality, that can happen. That can very much happen if we work with other people on that sort of stuff. It can happen, it's a reality thing. How to become a composer, it's one of the nasty stuff that you have to, if you work on others, you are going to have that sort of thing. But don't you worry, it's like, you know, when you get someone to say that's bad, you can still do another one, usually. They are agreeing on that. And you develop, that's the thing. You can, then the more you do it, you can understand what the customer wants, and then it gets better, and even you improve at the same time. I've improved a lot because of the project, because I needed to, I was forced to learn stuff. When I do the Samurai Wars, I was forced to learn Japanese music, you know, the authentic Japanese music. Yes, there's so many different ways to do that sort of stuff. But of course, the nasty thing about that is that you can have bad collaborators. You can have
I wonder how many views you will get if you sing Finnish songs. They are really nice.
Should I do a finishing string? Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, you can have nasty collaborators that scam. That's the thing. I have had many. Actually, that's weird. I've actually asked 2 people that from Russia, and both of them have scammed me. Tried to scam me. I've actually, of course, never gave my music to them, but I tell you, they try to make you work for free. Of course, in Russia, the income is much more lower in many cases. But still, if you're working for someone, they want and you want to get paid, you can decline on opportunities if they are not paying you, and if it's not your first project. Some of the collaborators try to scam you. They try to get your music. They try to use you. And I've been used, I tell you, nasty ways. There was this, what was it? what was Switzerland? Yeah, a person from Switzerland, which I personally still have kind of a disdain for because he tried to scam
Russian
me.
Scamming a Finnish. Seems historically.
Yeah, that was. I tell you, for some reason, I've had very bad luck with Russian people working with them. Actually, 2 projects that just scammers. But I tell you, there was this nasty person from Switzerland that really tried to make me do stuff without paying at all. And once I got the he actually promised me like heaven and earth. And once I asked like, hey, I want to get paid, and he's like, and just took me off from the picture and someone else. Very nasty indeed. Very nasty personality, and there can be nasty personalities. I've seen so many nasty developers that I had to just of course they're paying me, but they have to still work with them because they pay me and they are nasty and you're gonna have that possibly. But there can be some good collaborators. There can be, and it's of course negotiation skills. I'm gonna be talking about that in later composing, how to become a composer episodes when we go there, when we really look at the situation. Well, I'm gonna be showing it to you. How to do contracts, how to not get scammed. That's going to be one of the topics in later episodes. Indeed, how to become a composer. You are now, Bert the composer is in the second percentage. Bert the gardener knows now how to get his music heard, how to really possibly start with this, how to work with others, how to do his own stuff, how to release in own places. I'm going to be still in the next stream probably, and the next episode going to be talking about the fact of what are the best places to online put your stuff in. And we're going to be showing you step-by-step basis on what are the stuff you can do, because you can get scammed in all of the places if you do things wrongly. And you can actually, there's even ways to get YouTube to kind of think oh, that's a bad channel, even not by telling you, in the early stuff. It can destroy your whole YouTube stuff. I know it, I've seen it, so we're gonna be talking about that. Now, my friends, you have now learned how to become a composer from 0 to 2%. 2 episodes so far. If you want to see the first episode, it's down there in the description. Press it, a playlist. And also, I'm still going to be saying, if you want to distribute your music in the best way possible, there's the Road Note program. I do share this referral code to people, because I tell you, I'm going to be showing you later on in the episode when we talk about the distribution things. I'm going to be showing you how to get this done, and I believe I use it a ton. I believe this is the best way to really get your music out there. You don't need to pay anything, they still work for you. You get 85% of the income. Very good. I really recommend this.
I see you do gaming, Acewill. Have you heard of TFT?
Of course, weekends are gaming sessions indeed. Team Fortress 2, I've heard of that. Never really tried that though. Perhaps possible. But who knows? Thank you, Moju and others, for coming to How to Become a Composer stream. Next week we're going to be talking about the distribution. We're going to be talking so many things about how to really get forward, especially working with projects, how to not get scammed, how to possibly get a name of yourself out there, because I know many people from academies, from my personal experience, I know many people that have went through the traditional education for becoming a composer, and they still don't know how to get their stuff shared, how to get people actually interested about doing music, how to get that those people actually like your stuff. It was a huge trouble for me in the beginning, because there's many ways you can actually fail in this, but I'm going to be showing you how not to. So Moju and others, thanks for joining the stream. We're going to be streaming next week another episode 3. Hopefully you're going to be joining us for that. And I tell you, Bert to compose it going forward, hopefully you as well. If you have any questions, anything connected to composing, post them down below. I answered the last episode when we had questions. I answered every single one of them. If you have anything, let me know, because of course this is up to you, learning and knowing and getting to know how this composing stuff works. But anyways, we are streaming every day. Hopefully I'm going to see you next time, wherever you are, whoever you are. I wish you excellent day. Thank you for everyone for joining, and we're going to be doing and talking about composing in another episode of How to Become a Composer from 0 to Hero. Pleasure is on my side.